So there we go. It has started. So before I start, I would like to thank all partners for embracing this initiative for this Info Day, and of course all the teachers, all you teachers that are present here today. I know your schedules are very busy, and we appreciate your being here, your presence, your participation in the project from now on is crucial and much needed. So thank you very much for being here. So I'm going to start sharing my screen in order to present the project. Can you all see my screen? Yes, perfect.
Yes, John.
Great, thank you. Right, so today we're going to talk about the project results of the 3D2ACT project, which is fostering Industry 4 and 3D technologies through social entrepreneurship, an innovative program for a sustainable future. The idea of the project is here. It's an Erasmus Plus project, a strategic partnerships for VET education Key Action 2 project, which has a duration of 30 months. It started in late 2020 and will end on the 31st of May 2023, which means that we are 7 months away from the end of this project. The consortium, as I said, Demokritos and myself are coordinating this project, but we have another 6 partners from 5 different countries, namely dLearn from Italy, the European Digital Learning Network, ETS, as is the new name for dLearn. We have the Politecnica Tzorieri from Spain with a new name also and a new logo, which you can see here. We've got Emphasis Center from Cyprus, who wrote the proposal for this project. So they were the inspirators for this project. We have the incubator, the Stichting Incubator from Leeuwarden, if I pronounce it well, from the Netherlands. And last but not least, 2 partners from the island of Crete here in Greece, the Regional Directorate of Primary and Secondary Education of Crete, and also the University of Crete, which both of these organizations are from the same city, the city of Heraklion in Crete. So, about the project. The project addresses 3 Erasmus priorities, 2 VET priorities and 1 horizontal. The first 2 have to do with the further strengthening of key competences in initial and continuous VET. And the second one has to do with supporting the uptake of innovative approaches and digital technologies for teaching and learning. Finally, the horizontal priority has to do with supporting educators, youth workers, educational leaders, and support staff. Now, the aims of this project have to do with the basic skills that we are trying to promote through this project. The first of which is, of course, as you can deduct from the name of the project, the 3D design and printing skills that seem to be missing from VET curricula and that are essential for entering the labor market as far as students are concerned. The second one has to do with targeting broad and deep digital skills according to the Digital Action Plan 2018, namely programming, robotics, and STEAM skills, based also on a cross-disciplinary approach. And finally, business skills, entrepreneurial skills, but with a social aspect as they respond to social challenges and needs and benefit the community, the environment, and culture. Now, like every Erasmus Plus project, 3D2ACT had a number of intellectual outputs or project results that it had to create. In this case, we have 5. So far, we have almost completed 4, and we are in the process of beginning the 5th. The first 4 had to do with the research and mapping out of the current situation in each country, which resulted in the development of a competence framework, the syllabus for this project. From that, the competence framework was the basis for the creation and the development of the educational material. IO2, Intellectual Output 2, had to do with the development of the 3D educational material, as well as 6 cross-curricular scenarios, while IO3 had to do with the development of the social entrepreneurship material, as well as the design and the development of an augmented reality game. The fourth result had to do with the development of an e-learning and e-assessment platform and a mobile app using the open badges methodology. More about that later on. Now we are at a turning point for the project where we have pretty much finalized all the material that had to be produced, and we are ready to begin the pilot trainings at schools, which are addressed to both VET teachers, that is yourselves, and thank you once again for being here, as well as your students. So the first step is for you to get informed about these results today, then study the material, ask us any questions that you may have, and then take this knowledge and take it to your schools and teach your students this material as much as possible. So effectively, we want to bring the digital at social program and the hubs to the VET schools in these 5 countries that are participating in this project. Now, a few words about the results. Initially, there was a research that was carried out, both literature and field research, in all participating countries, which resulted in the production of national reports, as well as a comparative report that presented the most important findings from each country and the overall conclusions. These reports captured the current scene to identify the needs that VET schools have and students and teachers regarding the use of 3D and social entrepreneurship technologies in these schools. A total of 276 teachers participated in the relevant online survey. Now, this research highlighted the importance of teaching digital skills such as 3D in VET schools, and the need for the continuous improvement through appropriate reforms in relation to the equipment in schools, the study programs, activities organized together with lifelong training of the teachers. In addition, there was a general consensus among all participants from all countries that 3D printing should not be considered a novelty, but rather a key element in the way production is implemented and a shared tool in the near future. And also that 3D printing can provide educators with a competitive edge in terms of innovative teaching methodologies, as well as key skills for their students, opening for them up new job opportunities and business prospects. In addition to this research, we also captured some good practices, programs, other projects, initiatives related to the digital transformation, Industry 4, 3D technologies, STEAM and social entrepreneurship in all 5 countries. And this is the result. We have a map of Europe indicating in which countries these initiatives are, with various pieces of information regarding these, like from which country it is, type of organization, etc., and some contact information in case somebody wants to learn more. The aforementioned research also produced the competence frameworks. There were 2 competence frameworks, one for the 3D aspect of the project and one for the social entrepreneurship aspect, which basically is the syllabus, as I said before, of the 3D2ACT project. As far as the 3D aspect is concerned, it is divided into 3 levels, each of which has 3 chapters, but my colleague Valadis will tell you more about this, as well as a final chapter relating to troubleshooting issues. What the competence framework, or syllabus if you prefer, presents is each topic that we address, the purpose, goals and objectives, the duration of each chapter, the prerequisites, what is needed, what the students need to know before they take on this chapter, this level, what the outcomes, the expected outcomes are, in general, but specifically also to the 3D and or social entrepreneurship, what knowledge and skills are expected to be acquired, as well as the soft skills, and also the associate badge. Now, the competence framework was basically the basis for the production of the educational material. And what we developed was material for approximately 50 hours of blended learning activities, which we have divided, as you can see on your screen. 45 hours will be dedicated to the 3D aspect, while 5 hours will be dedicated to the social entrepreneurship aspect of the project. As I said before, the 3D educational material, because it was quite a lot, was divided into 3 distinct levels. For the pilot trainings that we are going to implement from now on, we are only going to address the first 2 levels. So in the first level, students and teachers with little or no experience in 3D technologies will be introduced to the world of 3D printing by practicing the basic skills necessary to make their first print. More on this from my colleague Valadis. As far as level 2 is concerned, students and teachers will practice through guided inquiry activities, the worksheets that we have developed, on the design and printing of models that can be used in everyday life. My colleagues Marios from Crete and Nicholas from Cyprus will tell you more about this later on. We will not spend any time on level 3, as this is something that will happen later on, so there's no need to discuss it now. In addition to this material, and in combination with the social entrepreneurship aspect that follows, 6 cross-curricular scenarios were developed as well, which highlight the interconnection of 3D technologies with social entrepreneurship. Partners from Spain, Netherlands, and the regional directorate from Crete will give us more detail in a little while. Now, as far as the social entrepreneurship educational material is concerned, it was based on the Entrecomp framework, if you're familiar with it, and it was divided into 3 modules, the second of which touches on the 3 competence areas of this Entrecomp framework, and in particular to 5 specific competences for these areas. In addition, we have also added in the material case studies of successful social entrepreneurships from all 5 countries, so that both teachers, yourselves, and your students can have a look at such successful examples of social entrepreneurships across Europe. Now, regarding the assessment of the project, we are using the Open Badges ecosystem. Here you can see a tree that Emphasis has created, showing the mapping of these badges. So as you can see, there is an overall badge at the top, as well as a social entrepreneurship badge, while for each level of the 3D material, we have 3 distinct badges. These badges will be awarded to students through the e-platform, either manually by you, teachers, and this has to do with levels 1 to 3 for the 3D aspect, while the overall badge and the social entrepreneurship badge will be awarded automatically by the e-platform once students have achieved at least 50% on the gradable post-assessment activities that we will show you later on. In addition, an augmented reality is being developed as we speak. It's near its end. What this AR game does, it guides students as well as teachers on how to set up successfully a social enterprise in 10 steps, which is largely based on the relevant roadmap that was developed by the Dutch partner, the Stichting Incubator. And all this is done in a very gamified way. My colleague Marios from Crete will show more about that at the end of this info day. Moreover, we here at Demokritos designed and developed an e-learning platform in order to host all this educational material that I mentioned already, as well as the assessment procedures and the open badges to be awarded to the students. So in addition to this, in order to promote mobile learning, we have also developed a mobile app, which is available on the Google Play Store. And more on this again later on from my colleague Vasya. Now, the next steps, as I said at the beginning of my of this presentation, is that we're going to be starting the pilot educational actions in each participating country with the participation of VET teachers and students. So this is when you, dear teachers, come into play, and this is the time that we really need your help in order to succeed with all the obligations that we have in this project. So this is basically, this info day today is basically the kickoff for the pilot training activities through this info day, where we are hoping that you will get informed firsthand from us who developed all these materials and tools, and get a very good idea before you take the project to your schools. Now, at the end of these pilot trainings, which will take place in each country, delegations from each of these countries with the participation of members of the consortium and 2 teachers and 4 students from each partner will meet in Cyprus in February for an international educational meeting, a training, which will culminate with a pitching competition between the students at the end of the training session. So the next steps for you guys is to go through all these materials. So for instance, you can follow these 10 steps if you like, go through the comparative report, consult the competence framework, study the educational material, understand social entrepreneurship if you are not familiar with it, understand the assessment methodology, familiarize yourselves with the e-learning platform, organize workshops, create synergies, organize info days, and finally organize and evaluate the 3D2ACT program that I just mentioned. So this pretty much sums up this introductory presentation about the project. Before I give the floor to my colleagues for the more particular presentation of all these products, I would like to run through very quickly the projects that we are implementing at the moment here at Demokritos, many of which are with partners that are involved in the 3D2ACT project. The first of which is the Jobs for All, which is a youth education project that we have just started here in Greece. We are coordinating this, and Emphasis is also participating. We also have a very interesting project which is very similar to 3D2ACT, only instead of touching on 3D technologies, we are using drones in VET schools to promote digital skills that appear to be missing in VET curricula. In this project, the 4 partners that are in 3D2ACT are also in the Drones at STEAM project, namely the Polytechnica Tzorieri Emphasis Center, and of course our coordinators, the University of Crete. We're also involved in another very interesting project called STEAM for All, which has to do with supporting of the digital inclusion of all students, regardless of disabilities, etc. And finally, a project that ends actually next month, which is called Digital Teaching Literacy, which was inspired by the COVID-19 situation and the need for teachers to become more digitally literate, as at the time there was a need to use a lot of e-tools in order to carry out the everyday educational activities that it wasn't possible to carry out face-to-face in schools. So this is it for me. Thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much for being here once again. If you have any questions regarding the project, do not hesitate to contact me. This is my email. And I would also like to ask you to visit our social media, like our Facebook page and follow us. And also, if you could please subscribe to our newsletter. Vasya will share the the link. All you have to do is just enter your email address and you will be receiving the newsletters from now on. So thank you very much. I will pass on the floor to my colleague Valadis, who will start the discussion on the 3D printing educational pack, and in particular, level 1. So let me stop sharing, and Valadis, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much, Yanis. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy that all the teachers that would like to involve to our project are here. Yanis briefly described the way we designed the educational material for 3D aspect of the project. I'm sorry. Yes, sorry about that. We're on the same room and a lot of problems come up with all this technology. Okay, so as I pointed out, Yanis was briefly described the way we organized the 3D aspect of the educational material. Here is a more detailed here we describe all the chapters that was designed for the 3D aspect. I myself will briefly present level 1, which is the 3D printing beginner level, which consists of 3 chapters: the introduction to 3D printing, the designing and acquiring 3D models, and of course the 3D printer basics and what you need to do in order to perform your first print. After that, our colleagues Marios and Nicholas will present level 2, which also consists of 3 chapters: the creating 3D designs with a CAD software, slicing software in-depth tutorial, and last, the hands-on training, customizing and printing simple designs. As Yanis mentioned, we are not going to discuss anything about level 3 and 4 right now, because we are going to, in the pilot training, we are going to use only the first 3 levels. Of course, the fourth chapter 4 is the troubleshooting material, which of course is really useful and you're going to use in both levels, but it's not something that we're going to discuss today. So the first chapter consists of 2 activity worksheets. All the educational material is based on worksheets. The first worksheet is actually explaining to someone who has no idea about 3D printing what is 3D printing, in other words, what is additive manufacturing, how it works, how it creates the objects it creates, and the impact it has to the manufacturing process. We explain how 3D printing work, for what is an STL file, which is the first thing you need in order to 3D print an object, what is a slicing software, what it does, and what a G-code file is. We move on to the third step, which is the actual 3D printing, and finally we have the final physical object So here in this slide, you can see all the pipeline, all the steps, in other words, that you need to take in order to take a digital object all the way to a physical one. We continue with a brief overview of where you can use 3D printing and all the 3D printing application in replacement parts industry, on professional prototyping, etc. And then we move on to the more, let's say, hardware-related issues about 3D printing in the second activity worksheet. When we start with which type of 3D printers exist, with the first one being the fused deposition modeling, known as FDM, which is the most common type of 3D printer and is the one that we are going to use in this project. Of course, we briefly described the other types of 3D printers as SLA 3D printing, stereolithography 3D printers, and how they work. We are going to we have a discussion about the SLS, the selective laser sintering 3D printers, and how they work. And then we are giving a little more details for the first kind of 3D printer, the FDM, which is the printer we are going to use in this project. And we're explaining all the hardware related issues, where is everything, what every object is doing, and how we can let's say understand the way that an FDM printer works. We discuss all the parts of the 3D printer, starting from the printing plate, also known as the bed. We're discussing about the different material used, the pros and cons of each material, etc. Then we move on to the 3D printing filament coil. We are briefly described all the material that you can use in a 3D printer. Of course, the let's say more common materials are the PLA and ABS. That it's something that you can easily work and produce a lot of objects with let's say very good quality and good structure. But we also describe the other materials that you can use. Here I have a small list of these materials. You can use something like a carbon fiber in order to 3D print something that looks like a carbon fiber. You can use nylon, you can use flex, and a lot of other materials that, let's say, are not so common, but are pretty useful for specific scenarios of use. We move on to the FDM extruder, explaining all the different parts, what's a cold end, what's a hot end. It's something that it's really useful. It's a knowledge that it's really useful when you are into 3D printing, because it makes it easier to understand how it works and solve the problems that can occur. After the first chapter, we move on to the second chapter, which is actually is addressed to the first step of the 3D design and printing pipeline. The first step is you need an STL file. So in the activity worksheet 1.2.1, we are briefly explaining the different ways that you can acquire an STL file. You can, firstly, you can obtain it by a lot of repositories, online repositories, that a lot of designers are uploading their 3D object for everyone to download and 3D print. Then the second way you can have an STL file is to take a real object and perform something that is called 3D scan, which is actually what it sounds like. It's a way that you can transform a real object in a digital one. And the third way you can have an STL file is to design it from scratch. So we start with the first option, which is find a ready-made STL file from a repository. Here is a list of the most popular repositories. Most of them are completely free, not all of them, but most of them. And then we explain, we take the most popular repository, which is the first one is Thingiverse, and we're explaining what you need to do in order to find what you need, how to download it, where to look for comments, ideas, etc. Then we move on to the second option, which is 3D scanning. We're explaining what 3D scanning is, how the basic principles that 3D scan, how it works. And the third option is, of course, to design it from scratch with a CAD software. In order to do that, we choose an online software which is free to use, and as I said, it's online. You don't need to download anything. You can have all your files online. You just sign in with your personal account and you can access this software from everywhere. This software is called Tinkercad, and in the activity worksheet 1.2.2, we're explaining all the steps you need to do, from creating your account, creating a new design, explaining all the different options, from the menus where you can find the objects, all the different menus in order to copy, paste, duplicate, or whatever you want to the basic to the basic objects. And after this briefly presentation of the menus, we assign to the students to do a simple 3D design on their own. We chose the whistle, a simple whistle, because it's a very good example on how to use a lot of techniques that are pretty useful in 3D design, and we guide them step by step what they need to do in order to design their own whistle to the end. After that, we move on to the next chapter, which is all the preparations that you need to do in order to perform your first print. After we have our STL model, the second step is the procedure of slicing. The slicer, which is a program that performs slicing, what it does, it takes this digital object and cuts it, slice it into thin layers, as you can see in the picture. In order to give those slices to the 3D printer to start printing from layer to layer. In order to, as a consortium, we choose to use a free slicing software, which is called Cura. And again, we made a step-by-step guide from the starting point on how to download, how to install the program on your computer, and what you need to do in order for this program to communicate with your actual 3D printer. We explain all the different menus. In this level, it's just a brief overview of the basic menus of the Cura software. And then we move on to more, let's say, useful things on how to use the supports, how to use the adhesion. It's a lot of options that you can choose in order to 3D print your model in the best way. And we explain all these different options in this step-by-step guide. On the final worksheet of the level 1, we move on to the first print. In this activity worksheet, we are explaining what actions you need to perform in order to slice and 3D print your object. What is and why you need to perform bed leveling, things that you need to check in order to make your print not to fail. And we're using our whistle that was designed by our students in the previous chapter in order to make our first print, and all our students take home their own home design, let's say, whistle from the 3D printing lessons. So this was the level 1. Actually is finished, and then we move on to the level 2, which I believe our colleague Marius is going to start, or Nicolas, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Marius.
I will start.
Okay.
Okay, let's
stop sharing. Okay.
Okay, let's share my screen. Can you see my screen now, I guess?
Yes, Marius.
Okay. All right, so I would like to welcome everyone to this Train the Trainers Info Day. I will briefly present 3 activity worksheets that we developed. So basically, okay, let's see. So more specifically, we'll show these 3 worksheet activities that belong to level 2. So worksheet 2.1.1 and the more advanced 2.3 worksheets. These worksheets are freely available from our website, and you can download it, and they are available under the Creative Commons license. So I want to point out that each PDF contains both the student version and the teacher version of the worksheet. The teacher version contains some extra material and some more details that are useful. Of course, all of this material is also available through the e-learning platform. colleagues from Democritus will present this later on. Also, I want to point out that these worksheets are translated in every language, every partner language, so you can find your worksheets in your specific language, which is, I guess, important for your students. Now, okay, we'll focus on level 2, which is the intermediate level. So mastering the basics and a little beyond. So the first thing is to create the chapter 2.1 is creating a 3D design using a CAD software. So it has to do with using Tinkercad to design something useful. I will tell you more about this later on. Chapter 2.3 is basically a more complete scenario. So we are customizing and printing simple design, and we follow a complete set of exercises, starting from the design of a model using a Tinkercad, slicing the model with Cura, and finally printing the model. So the first activity, 2.1.1, includes 3 exercises and has an overall duration of about 2 hours, and regards the 3D design of usual everyday life objects. So the idea here is for the students to learn how to use and import already existing 3D models. For example, we are giving this PET bottle cap already made, and the student don't need to design this, which is this part more or less. And we extend this and create useful object like this 2 versions of funnel, this simple one and this one that has an oval shape and a little bit of extra neck that can fit common water bottles or soda bottles that you can find everywhere in your home. The third design is the watering spout, which again can fit in a water bottle, and you can water your plants with it. So at the beginning of every worksheet, there is a lesson plan. As you can see here, you can find different information about the description of the worksheet, the learning outcomes, and the exact activities. Here we have 3 activities, and for each activity we have, for example, the aim, the teaching objectives for everyone. So this is useful for you to learn how to use this worksheet. So more specifically, the first one, this is how the activity worksheet looks like in a PDF format. Contains detailed information and instructions on how to design the models using Tinkercad, of course. And in the teacher version, we have the worksheets contain this highlighted orange tips, which is additional information for the teacher. The more advanced worksheets for chapter 2.3 include more exercises and follow the complete scenario. So starting from taking the model, modifying it, slicing it, and printing it. In this specific scenario, we have 4 exercising. Again, the duration is about 2 hours. And we are making a custom 3D2ACT mobile phone stand. So here the idea is that we take an already made model from Tinkercad and we try to modify it. For example, students will learn how to customize a model. If you try to measure your phone and it's thicker than the model that you already have, how to modify your model and make this little bit longer so your actual phone can fit on it. And then, of course, this is an optional step. You can skip it and go to the next one. For example, how to engrave this custom text in the front or in the back. In the back side, we choose to engrave this image or a logo, which is our project logo, but you can use in your classroom. For example, you can ask your students to use their own logo for their favorite team or whatever. So basically, they take a 2D image from the web and they convert it to SVG. and import it to Tinkercad, and they create this kind of engraved image on the back. And then, of course, you slice the model, you print it, and of course, test it to see if your phone actually fits in there and it works. Now, again, this worksheet has also a complete lesson plan with the 4 activities and what that activity actually does, and some extra reading about what SVG is, what scalable vector graphics is, and how it is used. Again, this information are optional. In the slicing part, students will also slice the model using different infills or patterns, and maybe do some other things like increase the wall line count to make a stronger model, or try and play with it a little bit and try different types of support structures. For example, this support structure is a tree-like support, and they can use different things to and different views to see and orient the model to print better or more efficiently or more quicker. So this is actually a time-lapse video of the, I don't know if it can start. No. Okay, it doesn't want to start. Okay, anyway, let's move on. Let's go to the next activity worksheet. This one also includes the 3 exercises. Again, a total of 2 hours regarding the creation of 2 different fridge magnet designs that are useful. The first one is a pen holder, and the second one is this paper holder for your fridge. So again, here the students learn how to engrave the letters, how to embed the magnets inside the design and stuff like that, which is a post-processing step, let's say, that is done in the slicer. Again, for this worksheet, we have a lesson plan, a specific lesson plan, teaching objectives for each activity. And more or less, this is what you will do in the first one. So first you have to design this pen holder. Of course, we have detailed instructions. We can also ask your students to measure the magnets that they are going to use and make the specific holes. And then students can also have the chance to experiment with Cura plugins that like the pause at height. So basically it's possible to pause your print at a specific height where the holes are created, throw in the magnets and then continue printing, and the magnets are completely and embedded in your design. This is one option, and the other option like this one is, okay, just make the holes, and after you print the model, you just push in the magnet, and that's it, or maybe glue it. So this is 2 different approaches. Okay, this is all for me. I don't have anything else specific to add. Of course, you have to have a look at the worksheets and see how they are progressing and see how everything is described and how. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Marios, for this presentation. Very insightful, I think, but at the same time, it is important, as you said, that the teachers go through the material by themselves as well.
Yeah.
It goes without saying that all partners are available to answer questions either now. Of course, we don't have much time for a Q&A session today, but definitely after this session, you can contact the partner with whom you're collaborating with, and then they can send us your questions that we can answer. So thanks again, Marios. We will conclude this first 3D printing educational material presentation with the second part of level 2, which has to do with Emphasis Center from Cyprus. So, Nicholas, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Let me start my presentation. Okay, so can everybody see it in full screen? Great.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So hi from me as well. I'm Nicholas Mouduros. I represent Emphasis Center. A few quick words about Emphasis Center. We're a center for education. We are an ICT training center. We are a research center in the field of European projects, and we are also a software development house. Our education department mostly handles certified IT courses such as the ECTL and the GCA level in computer science. Our ICT training is the house of our STEAM unit, where we teach things such as coding, robotics, 3D printing, 3D modeling, video game design with VR elements, and drone coding. Our research department mostly focuses on European and national funded projects, and our software development house develops various software solutions for e-learning, such as e-learning tools, serious games, educational games, mobile applications, the incorporation of artificial intelligence tools in education, and as well as augmented reality and virtual reality tools in training and in education in general. Now, concerning the 3D2ACT content, Emphasis Center prepared the worksheets for 3 different, let's say, chapters. So one has to do with this measuring cup, which aims in teaching students about volumes and how you can 3D print a tool like this, which is helpful in the kitchen for, let's say, measuring a cup of rice or a flour or other materials in the kitchen. So the first exercise for this worksheet has to do a bit with mathematics and the calculation by the students of the volumes of different shapes, such as rectangle, triangles, pyramids, and so on. So first they will do the theoretical part and calculate the volumes that they need to use. And in the second exercise, by using Tinkercad, the students will follow the step-by-step instructions, which is given in the worksheet, in order to create this cube for measuring the different materials in the kitchen. And the duration of this is around 45 minutes. The third exercise is for the students on their own this time to utilize a different shape like a cylinder, and also to create their own measuring device, their measuring shape, and to calculate the volume of 2 different shapes. Now, there is a small difference between the student version of our worksheets and the teacher version of our worksheet. The teacher version also includes a sample solution of this exercise, which helps the teachers to visualize what is needed by the students to do in this exercise. And this exercise, it has a duration of around 20-25 minutes. The next chapter has to do by creating a range like this one. Yeah. So their main objective is for the students to create this range and then to build upon the knowledge and create a new range with different diameters, and at the end also to design a nut and a bolt in order to test the range that they have created. The total duration is 2 class periods around 1.5 hours. So the first exercise, the students will follow a step-by-step guide on how to create a range that will be used for nuts of 16 millimeters in diameter. So as you can see also in the pictures, there is an open end and a closed end. So they have to design both. And the duration for this is around 45 minutes. The second exercise, the students can go and check online to see the different diameters of wrenches, of nuts, and of bolts, and to decide what they want to create. So this has a duration of around 20 minutes. The big part of the exercise is to create a wrench with 2 different open-ended edges. So to use in different sizes of nuts and bolts. Now the teacher version also includes a potential design that the students can do. And this activity will last for around 20 minutes. The third exercise is for the students to design their own nut and bolt to their wrench. They will have to investigate as well some different design options in order to make their wrench to be stronger. Maybe this will mean that they will include different materials inside, or the infill which is inside the plastic inside the wrench will be more dense, or they will add a grip to it so it's easier to use. So this investigation has to be done by the student to make changes to the wrench. And this activity has a duration of around 25 minutes. Now, the next part, the next worksheet, has to do with the slicing software. As Valandis mentioned before, the student, which he mentioned what the slicing software is, the students will understand in detail what the slicing software does, which is to take the object that was designed in a design software and to change it into code which the 3D printer understands. So after that, we will go into the Cura slicing software and see in detail how it works. We'll go through the installation of the software and how it connects to the 3D printer. And the final thing would be to slice the object and move the G code, which is the result of the slicing software, to the printer and print it. And this has a duration of around 2 classroom periods or 1.5 hours. So the first exercise is the installation of the Cura software and also how to connect it to a 3D printer, and also how to add a designed model and slice it through the software. This activity has a duration of around 30 minutes. The next is to look at some advanced features of Cura. So Cura is a software that keeps evolving, and what helps it to evolve is that there is a marketplace where you can go and find add-ons, additional, let's say, pieces of software which increase the functionality of the slicing software. So we will see how this marketplace works and how to install more features. And as an example is separating an object into 2 different models. It will be explained in this exercise. Now, the next exercise is to prepare a model for 3D printing. And this means things as to add supports to the model, find the angle which is the most optimum for 3D printing, and finally moving the resulting G code, the resulting file, to the 3D printer. And next is creating, customizing and printing simple designs. So this is a water planter, a self-watering planter. You can see the picture here on the right that we utilized this 3D print. So the self-watering planter consists of two separate objects, which is the base and the funnel. So in this exercise, the students will go on and design these two separate objects. They will export the 3D model to a slicer, make the necessary adjustments there, and then print it to the 3D printer. And as let's say bonus, they will learn how to plant a small plant in this self-watering planter. The duration of this is around 3 hours. So the first part will be to create the base, which is of cylinder shape, and also to create the funnel of the planter. This is a step-by-step tutorial, which will instruct the students on how to prepare and design this recommended build. And the duration will be around 45 minutes. Exercise 2 will have the students changing the base of the pot and using their imagination to design a new one. In the teacher version, there is also a sample solution where a dice shape is used as the base of the pot. And this also has a duration of 45 minutes. The next step, the exercise 3, is to import into our slicing software the design and to finding the optimal positions in order to have the best results possible for printing our object. And this has a total duration of 20 minutes for the activity. And the last activity, and I can say this because we printed this during, I think it was, there was a lockdown, so it was activity that I had with my son, that after printing this, we went on and we planted a small aloe vera plant in our pot, and now we have it at home. I was thinking of bringing it today with me at work, but unfortunately I forgot. But that's the picture there, so you can see it. The plant is still alive. So it's a proof that our plant, our pot is functioning and it's working. Now this is the part that Emphasis prepared, the worksheet that Emphasis prepared. But I have something else to share with you, is that Emphasis Center is also a provider of Key Action 1 trainings, which means that we have a lot of students, a lot of teachers coming for short trainings. And last week, we had a group of 12 students from Denmark participating in our Key Action 1 training for 3D design. We call it the 3D design camp. So we had the opportunity to pilot test a lot of the material which was designed by the 3D2ACT consortium. And as you can see from the images, it was a very successful one. So we took the theoretical part, the explanation of what a 3D printer is, what is 3D scanning, how a 3D printer works, and we presented to the students. We then went and we utilized some worksheets, the one that Marius mentioned before for creating a whistle. We did the whistles in Tinkercad. We created a shape as well in Onshape. We utilize as well our 3D scanner that we have, and the students, from the feedback we received, it was quite positive. They were very happy and very interested in the material that was presented to them, that was created by the consortium. And we also presented to them some of the scenarios that my colleagues later on will present to you. So the students had around 6 to 8 hours to prepare their idea of a social entrepreneurship object that they created. And there were some very interesting results that came out. So the top one on the left is an opener of different objects in the kitchen, which people with Parkinson and certain disabilities can use it, because they, the students there, they made sure that it has very good grip. So this was one of the project presented. The other students here that you can see with the apple is a tray which has some pokes and can be used by people with disabilities in one of their hands, so they can cut an apple or cut a loaf of bread with one hand. So this was one of my favorite ones as well. Other students, they used Onshape to create some designs for tools which will help people to open doors or to pick up certain things without using their hands. So it was quite interesting to see the material of 3D2ACT to be utilized and to have all these really nice results by the students who used it. So this is all from me. I don't know if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. Very interesting stuff and very nice activities. We haven't even started the official pilot trainings, but you guys already have shown the material to even people from abroad. The university students were Cypriot.
No, they were from Denmark.
It's the same. I thought it was two different sets of people. So all of them were from Denmark. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. So thank you, Nicholas, very much. I don't know, since we are concluding this session, I don't know if we have any questions now, maybe one or two, since we are still on time. Nothing that I can see. If you want to say something,
No.
just... Sorry? No. Okay, we have a pending issue from the previous presentation. The Murphy's Law struck again, and we could not see the time-lapse video that Marius has prepared. Yes, Nicola? I think it was an accident.
I think it was by accident.
Okay, okay. So Marius, if it can play now, if we can watch it, feel free.
Yeah, I can share my screen, I guess. Let me see. Okay, I think now it should work.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the time lapse of this rather long. Okay, there is some issues. We have some internet, I guess, issues. But anyhow, this was supposed to be a time lapse from this model that I showed you earlier. So basically, it's this one, the phone stud, which is a rather long print, around 6 hours. But the other ones, the one with the magnets, which looks like this, it's around 1 hour, which is rather short. So this is one with the enclosed magnets. So you cannot really see the magnets here. The other one, you can also print it like this with the hole and with the magnet here. So that's it from me.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Marios. Once again, if there are any questions, now is the time for the 3D material. I don't see anything or anyone. Okay, so according to the agenda, we should be taking a short break. And I think since the guys were kind enough to present their material within their time frame, I think we should take advantage of that. And instead of 15, let's make it 10 minutes because there's a lot of material to cover. So it's 1:15. Let's all gather at 25 past. And when we do that, whoever wants, it's not compulsory, turn your cameras on and perhaps we can take a group photo since there's 49, almost 50 people that have gathered today. And thank you very, very much for the great turnout. So see you all in 10 minutes and whoever wants can turn their camera on. See you in a bit. Thank you. So welcome back to this second part of the Train the Trainers Info Day in the framework of the 3D2ACT project. Okay, now that we have finalized the 3D printing educational pack, once again, thank you, Valadis, Marios, and Nicolas for your very interesting and insightful presentations. We will move to the other aspect of the project, which is, of course, a smaller scale than the 3D, since we're going to be spending less hours on that, but at the same time, very important. So I will give the floor to Sheila if she's with us. I cannot see her now, but I'm guessing she's here. She will provide us with a presentation about that educational material before we move on to the merging of social entrepreneurship with 3D through the 6 cross-curricular scenarios. So Sheila, if you're with us.
Yes. Hi, Yanis.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Okay, so thank you, Yanis. My name is Sheila. I work for Politecnica Torierri, which is a vocational training school located in the Basque Country in the north of Spain. We provide technical courses such as 3D printing, very related to this project, and also scheduling, production scheduling, matching, and so on. So apart from that, we also have some training. We provide some training on entrepreneurship, and so related to this, I'm going to explain to you what the social entrepreneurial educational pack is about that we have developed in the framework of this project. So during this presentation, you will learn about the social entrepreneurial pack and its objectives, also about what is social entrepreneurship to give you some context on the basics of this material. And I will show you also what modules and units we have included in this educational pack. So about the social entrepreneurial pack, it is a ready-to-use handbook for the social entrepreneurial competences acquisition of VET students, and it is based on the 2017 Entrecom framework of the European Commission. For those who are not familiar with the Entrecomp framework, let me tell you that this describes people's knowledge, skills, and attitudes to develop an entrepreneurial mindset. So more specifically, the Entrecomp framework maps out 3 key areas, which are ideas and opportunities, resources, and into action. And each area contains 5 competences. There is a total of 15 competences that you can check in this framework. Each competence is redefined through learning outcomes, which for each competence you have knowledge, skills, and attitudes, and 8 progression levels to show you and support the growth and progress of this entrepreneurial mindset. So now that you have learned about the Entrecomp framework, of course, the objective of this entrepreneurial pack that we have developed is to identify the basic concepts that any student should know to be able to set a social enterprise. This material will guide them into the social business world and will help them develop their social entrepreneurial skills. So, what is social entrepreneurship and why is it different from entrepreneurship itself? So it's basically recognizing social issues and bringing social change via the use of entrepreneurial ideas, processes, and operations. Social entrepreneurship focuses on building social capital rather than profit or return on investment. Entrepreneurs in this profession are mostly involved with non-profit organizations and sectors. But of course, this does not negate the need for profit, because after all, entrepreneurs require finance to continue the process and make a beneficial impact on society. Also, so that you know, there is a basic required characteristic to define a social business, and that is to create social value. There are 6 main principles to give framework to this concept. These are equity, work, environmental sustainability, environmental sustainability, cooperation, non-profit, and commitment to the environment.
Sheila, I don't think your slide has changed. We're still on the what is.
Which one?
What is social entrepreneurship with there we go now.
No, it didn't need to change.
Sorry, because
don't worry.
It changed for a moment.
I don't know why it's moving this, but yeah, no, don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so regarding this material, now that you know what social entrepreneurship is and what the Entrecomp framework is, we have developed 3 main modules. The first one is social entrepreneurship. The second one is the social entrepreneur itself. And then there is a series of case studies that you can check with important social businesses that have been developed in the partner countries. So module 1, which is the social entrepreneurship, covers the overview of it, supported by examples, as well as its benefits and pitfalls. So there are 3 main questions that this module answers, which are what is social entrepreneurship, why social, what is its added value, and there is also an example of the social business model Canva. So basically the business model Canva taken to the social context. As for module 2, which is the social entrepreneur, it's based on the Entrecomp framework, and this module covers the basic skills and concepts that a person needs to become a social entrepreneur. So this module is divided into 5 bigger units. You can see the names there. So the first one is the Entrecomp framework. So here we explain the competences, the social impact in general of this framework. We also mention the competences that a social entrepreneur needs to have. And then we move on to the 3 main topics, which are ideas and opportunities. Basically, more based on the competence of ethical and sustainable thinking. So what is a sustainable business, for example, and so on. There is another unit more related to the resources, specifically to financial and economic literacy. So students can learn about budget, You can also find external links or resources to find financial aid for these kind of social businesses. So there are different links or explanations for each country, so that you can find aid and financial aid in your own country. And a third one, which is Into Action, based on planning and management. So how to plan tasks, how to manage the business, and so on. Then module 3 is more focused on case studies. So these are practical examples of inspiring social businesses in partner countries. So some of them, for example, are focused on recycled clothes, the recovery of end-of-life plastics, sustainable home delivery, fabrication of local products on demand, job placement and social educational welfare, fighting the exclusion of the weakest, social integration of the homeless, or application of economic practices in the food sector. But there are more, and you can check them. And I think they are also available on the mapping tool that Yanis already showed you before. So this is all, and I don't know why. Okay, I cannot show the last slide. It was just my contact. So I will leave it on the chat in case anyone wants to ask me something related to this material. And so thank you for attending.
Thank you very much, Sila. We should mention here that the social entrepreneurship aspect was led by Tzorieri and the Stichting Incubator from the Netherlands. So yeah, Sheila just shared her email in case you have any questions regarding this aspect, but you're welcome to ask something now if there are any questions. I don't see any. So thank you very much, Sheila. You will be with us momentarily again, but we'll give you a break as we are heading to the next aspect, the next part of this of the agenda, which has to do with how to combine 3D technologies and 3D printing and with social entrepreneurship. Here we have already developed as a consortium 6 scenarios, 6 cross-curricular scenarios. 2 were developed by Tzorieri, 2 by Stichting Incubator, and 2 by the University of Crete. I will give the floor to Margenti if she's ready in order to start with the Netherlands. Margenti, is that fine? Maybe not, or we cannot hear you. I could see you, but yeah, I can still see you.
It is fine. I just lost my mouse.
Okay, no worries, Margenti. So would you like to discuss both of them or one now and one later? Yeah, both. Okay. So Margenti, yeah, I think it makes sense. So Margenti will present 2 of the 6 cross-curricular scenarios that the Stichting Incubator have prepared. So the floor is yours, Margenti.
Yes. So the first scenario that we have developed, that's around the problem of muscular functioning. So for example, here is Penny. Penny has a pen pal. They've written each other for years, but recently Penny is experiencing great difficulty in writing because her hand muscles are not as strong as they used to be. So she's tried several options to make it easier, but nothing really worked. So we tried to find a solution for that, which you can see in the image. So that is a tool which makes writing easier again. And how you can use this in class is you combine different areas, so different disciplines, for example, public health and vocational medical training, management and economics, mathematics and geometrics. So students from different areas will have to work together. And then based on milestones, we will start by familiarizing with the problem. So getting an idea of what the problem is about. That's the first milestone. Then we will move on with the students on trying to see the problem from a different perspective, and then specifically from the medical point of view. So how can we solve this problem? And when they found a solution, that's when they will really start creating the 3D product and also the social business around that. The idea is to split into groups and make sure that in each group students from every discipline is represented, and then make sure that every group is responsible for a certain part of developing the project. So there is a group responsible for actually developing the 3D product. The other group is responsible for creating the social business around it. Others are responsible for trying to find solutions for any problems that they could face or anything like that. So based on different milestones they will each have to take, a guideline is created to eventually develop the 3D product. And at the end, an indicative questionnaire is included to receive some reflection and feedback from the students, so we can again develop the entire scenario better. So that's the first scenario. The second scenario has kind of the same idea, but is a different product. This is around the problem of people who suffer from dementia, from people who may get lost because they don't know how to get back home or back to the elderly home. So the solution we found for that is creating a jewelry with GPS tracking. For example, the necklace you can see on the image here. Again, in this scenario, different disciplines and areas can be combined, from public health, vocational medical training, management and economics, IT, and human behavior. And it's basically on the same milestones made as the first scenario. So first getting familiarized with the problem, then finding a solution for the problem from a medical point of view, and then split into groups and actually create the product. And again, an indicative questionnaire and reflection and feedback is included at the end. So that's in short the two scenarios that that Sasha has created. Any questions?
Thank you, Margenti. So I think you'll find it very interesting that our project has also a social aspect to it, not only technological, and touching on very sensitive subjects such as dementia that we find, or other problems that people face sometime during their life. Yes, any questions regarding the two scenarios from the Netherlands? No. If you have any, please write them down, and maybe we can have a short Q&A session at the end of the meeting, if we have time, hopefully. So thank you very much, Margenti, once again for your presentation. And I'll move all the way from the north of Europe to the south, to Crete, and welcome our colleagues Alexandra, Omiros, and Cosmas,
Hello.
who also have prepared the two cross-curricular scenarios. Hello, Cosmas.
Can I share a screen?
No, we cannot see your screen, but we can hear you.
Now you can see me.
Now we can see you.
Okay, I'm sharing screen, okay?
Okay, perfect. The floor is yours, Cosmas. Thanks.
Thank you. So
The first scenario we propose is manufacturing car components with 3D printing. And this scenario describes 3D printing challenges in the automotive sector that could be beneficial to the climate change problem. For start, we have imported a brief report to social entrepreneurship based on the presentation you saw before from the 3D entrepreneurship educational pack. So social entrepreneurship is when entrepreneurs try to create a business dedicated to solving social, cultural, or environmental issues, possibly taking greater financial risks than usual, aiming to resolve issues that the traditional approach has failed in the social market. And the goal is to create opportunities for systematic addition of social value through innovative methods. So our scenario has a major question: how can we really create such an opportunity to systematically promote a social value such as environmental protection or strengthening actions against climate change? And this idea could become profitable within a business model. So we have to keep in mind that we have always maintained the priority of the positive social impact. We are all familiar with the climate change problem. So the challenge is to having in mind this problem. We're considering in the car sector alternative ways of creating components for vehicles to reduce the negative emissions during their production. Which car parts could be produced with 3D printing and thus contribute to the reduction of emissions and negative impacts on the planet? These are questions that we have to pass to the students in order to achieve some objectives and goals. Our learning outcomes in this scenario is for students to gain social empathy for the climate change, to work up as a team, promote collaborative approach in finding acceptable solutions, students to learn, categorize, and evaluate the above solutions so they could choose one or more of them, the collection of necessary data and the design of the solution in Tinkercad or 3D printing software, to identify business opportunities by analyzing market needs, actual market needs. To help you in this process, we have prepared analyzed phase section of milestones. So of course, it depends on the students that take part on this scenario. So the first step is to get familiar with the problem of climate change and the actions that countries around the world have agreed to take. The second step is to the description of the challenge in the automotive sector. Which ideas can we use for 3D printing? Which car parts to implement? Which solution is proposed? In our scenario, we propose an internal mirror for the interior of the car. The next step is to check and verify a prototype, which includes 4 phases: sketching and drawing of the first idea, description of and operation, parts of the idea, general dimensions, and of course, after a thorough checkup to correct the prototype if needed. The implementation of the prototype in 3D design software is the next step, correction if necessary, and implementation printing of the 3D printer. Of course, this scenario to be presented in as a final product needs a full package, which means we have to conclude a list of materials, a list of parts, assembly plans, assembly manuals, manufacturing processes, process sheets, instructions, everything we needed in the main phases to be implemented for the final presentations. So can we play a role in the fight against climate change? This is the question that in the end of the scenario, the students should answer or have in mind. This is the first scenario. Shall I move to the second or have questions?
Let's move to the next one, Cosmas. Thank you for this first one.
All right. The second scenario proposed is implementing useful gardening tools for household gardening using 3D printing. This scenario describes what is household gardening, where it is located, what it is its purpose, what can offer to someone that will occupied by this, and what are the requirements. All these are for students to innovate some ideas of what could be 3D printed in the home gardening sections, aiming at ecological awakening, flexibility, and innovations. Of course, having in mind the know-how of the previous courses presented to you from the 3D printing educational pack. Some tools and objects that household gardening uses is shovel, hand rake, plant labels, watering cans, pots, seed starting cups, plant support systems, a propagation station with light. All these are just examples, and you can use any of these in the scenario to implement, or any other that from the discussion with the students will come up on this sector. These are photos that from 3D printed items that are examples of what I just mentioned before, to know that all these can be implemented. Okay, this challenge-based scenario can combine students from different areas of vocational educations, sectors such as agriculture, food and environment, have direct connections since the script negotiates issues related to their subjects, also management and economics, or the IT sector, and also everyone, every teacher or student that has a major interest in agriculture and environment could be part of this scenario. Okay, the goal is to work up as a team, as we said in the first scenario, to categorize various solutions, evaluate them, prepare the 3D design, print the product, see how can this can be an opportunity in the gardening market as a business model, of course. The milestones are the same as the first scenario. The hours are just as examples. From what we have calculated, we need 2 to 4 hours per week, about 4 to 5 weeks in total to complete the scenario. So this is from me. If you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Cosmas.
Thank you.
So, yeah, from the social aspect, we move to the climate aspect, which is a big thing in Europe at the moment with a Green Deal and all that. Very interesting scenarios, both of them. I don't know if there are any questions for Cosmas and the team from the Regional Directorate of Crete. No. Okay. So because I keep forgetting, now is the time to take that group photo that I said we will take after the break, which of course I forgot. So if you please, whoever wants to, of course, can turn your cameras on so that we can take a group photo. And Vasya, if you can do the honors as usual. Please just give it a minute so that we have more faces coming up. Really, once again, I'm sorry for saying it so many times, but really thank you all for joining this Info Day today. It means a lot to us. I think we have enough faces, Vasya, so let's all give a big smile to Vasya for the group photo.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All. Okay, so a familiar face already, Sheila. Already you saw her a few minutes ago with the social entrepreneurship aspect. Now it's time for her to present the two cross-curricular scenarios that Sorieri from the Basque country in Spain have developed for this project. Sheila.
Thank you, Yanis. So I don't have a presentation itself for that, but I would like to show you how the scenarios look that you'll use with the students. So one sec. Yep. So, okay. So this is the first, well, this is for you to know how the scenarios look. And this is the first one we developed. Okay, so it's, let's say the format is very similar to those presented already by my colleagues. But in this case, we are proposing the manufacturing of customized gloves for people with mobility restrictions in the world of sports. So we give at the beginning an introduction of the situation regarding this kind of also these disabilities and these mobility restrictions for basically for students to think about it. And also we give them some questions like, is the world of sports prepared for it? Is the material prepared for it? So that they can think a little bit about this. And then we present the need. So we provide a specific situation. In this case, it's one person who suffered an accident and led to serious spinal injuries. So for that reason, that person has no mobility from the waist down. And despite this person still decided to do triathlons, but equipment it's not adapted to his needs. So that's what we present to the student. Basically, we ask the students or the groups of students, in this case, to prepare special gloves that are used, that serve to propel the chair. Okay, so here you have some pictures of the design we propose. In this case, you'll see that the next scenario is different, but in this case, we already propose or provide a design. But you can, of course, ask the students to just find another different solution, or it's up to you. So this is how every scenario looks. You have some objectives, expected learning outcomes, prerequisites, etc. And then, yeah, here are the milestones that my colleagues already explained, so it's no use explaining them again. They are all of them very similar. The number of hours are similar, but you can follow them. You have some hints, etc., to do it in the classroom. And take into account that these scenarios are challenge-based learning methodology, and that means that, of course, you propose a problem to the group of students, and they need to find a solution. So this usually is done or is carried out in several weeks. It's not something you can do in just one day. So this is the first scenario, and the second one is related to environmental sustainability. So it's the manufacturing of products to reduce the garbage in nature. So again, we propose or we introduce the students to this topic. And in this case, instead of, well, you'll see later, but in this case, we leave this scenario a little bit more open because, of course, garbage in nature can be of any kind. There is a lot. So the group of students can decide specifically what kind of garbage reduction they want to work on. But we also, of course, give you an idea if you want to use this one with the students, but I insist they can think for themselves and think of something different. So here one option is to create a walking stick with another spike to pick up well, things they can find in the mountain, and that reducing garbage, etc. So here you have some pictures of the design. Of course, they can do a different design, and yeah, basically the rest is the same. You have some milestones, and so on. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Sheila. All 6 scenarios very interesting and very challenging, especially in terms of time, like you pointed out, Sheila. They are quite big projects, and they need some time to be implemented. I'm not sure how possible it will be during the lifetime of the project to do this, but it's definitely very useful material for later on if schools want to continue the pilot trainings in their own time and outside the scope of this project, unless, of course, schools have already a big experience with 3D and they don't need to go through the initial worksheets and can move straight ahead to a bigger project and a longer project, such as the ones that were presented right now. So dear teachers, it's really up to you, and it all depends on your level of experience in 3D printing, which of this material that has been presented you will actually use in your pilot implementations. It is really up to you. So thank you all 3, Cosmas, Margenti, and Sheila, for the presentation of these cross-curricular scenarios. Okay, we've still got 1 hour. We are very much on time regarding the agenda. So the final part of this info day has to do with the e-tools, the electronic tools that have been developed that will assist the whole educational and pilot training processes. So without further ado, we will kick off this last part with the presentation of the e-learning platform that also has an e-assessment aspect in it, before moving on to the mobile app that my colleague Vasya will present. And last but not least, I will give the floor to our colleagues in Crete, Marios and Nikos, to present the augmented reality game, which is related to the social entrepreneurship aspect. So allow me to share my screen with you and go through the platform, for which I will need your participation, if possible. We are all on computers with an internet connection, so I think this is a great opportunity to have a look at it and register on the platform. If it's possible, please follow my lead. So this is the first page of the platform. You can see the URL here. Vasya has already shared the URL with you. Thank you, Vasya. So feel free to open it and browse it along with me. So this is the first page with some information about the project. Here is a QR code in order to download the mobile app, or you can get it from Google Play Store. Vasya will tell you more about this. Here you can access the project website as well as the social media and the YouTube channel, which will host also the video from today's proceedings. So in case you want to revisit some parts that were discussed today, or if you want to share the material with other colleagues and peers of yours, you can give them the link to this video. And at the bottom of the page, we have the 4 available courses, basically the 3 levels of 3D and the social entrepreneurship course. And at the very end, at the footer, we have the Erasmus Plus logo and disclaimer, the consortium, in case you want to find out more information about the partners of this project. These are links to their websites, as well as the contact us area where with the Gmail, and also a link to the newsletter page that Vasya has already shared with you. But Vasya, if you can please share it again for those who have joined us perhaps just now, and links to the social media. Now, regarding the available courses, let's say that I want to visit the first one, the 3D level 1. If I do so, I go to this page, which says that for full access to this site, you first need to create an account. I have already an account. So at this moment, and in order to make this a little bit more interactive, and I would like to ask you all to create your own account. So what do? You go to this front page and go to the top right corner where it says create new account. And here you will be asked to insert a username, a password. Please make sure to read carefully through these guidelines as to how to write your password, and then some more information, your email address twice, first name, surname, city, town, and country. I will give you all 5 minutes or maybe less to do this, and then we can proceed with the presentation of the platform. Thank you. May I just say that once you enter all your details and you hit on the create my new account button, you will receive an email. There is a chance that this email might end up in the junk folder, so please have a look there as well, where you will be asked to click on the provided link in order to confirm your registration on the platform. When you are ready, just please share with everyone that with the word done, so that I know that you have all successfully completed this small task. We have already the first 2 successful attempts. Thank you. We can give it another couple of minutes, of course. This is important because this way we will know that you are all teachers, and we can give you the role of the teacher on this platform, because the default role that is given is the role of the student, and we don't want that. We want, because this is an info day for the trainers, for the teachers. This way we can easily know without hassling our partners that you are the teachers who will be participating in one way or another in this training session. Okay, if you haven't finalized it, feel free to continue with this process. The difficult bit is with the passport. It needs at least one lowercase, one uppercase, and one non-alphanumeric character for security reasons, as you can understand. But apart from that, it's fairly straightforward to create an account. So let's continue. So I will go back to the original, to the front page. And as I said, I already have an account. So I will log in. This is the area to log into the page. By the way, before I do that, let me just say that here on the menu, we have a link to the available courses, a link to the mapping tool that we discussed in my first presentation, a link to the mobile app, and of course, all partner languages are used for this platform. So you can find all the material in all languages, as you will see in a moment. So I will log in now with my own credentials, and I will log in as a teacher. Rather, I would, first of all, I will log in as a student. So here we are, and I will go straight ahead to the available courses. So here I am in the screen that shows all the available courses, and I'm already logged in as a 3D2ACT student, as you can see here. So now I do have access to the courses, but I need one more step before I do that. But before that, let me show you that here we have divided the courses into categories. Of course, that's not very important because we only have two categories, the 3D and the social entrepreneurship aspect, and we only have 4 courses here. So here I see the 4 courses, and in the first one, I see this icon here. This icon here, as you can see from the tooltip, sorry, means that I am not enrolled, but I have the opportunity to self-enroll in this course. On the other hand, in the other 3, there is no such sign, which means that either I am already enrolled in this course, or, as is the case for 3D level 3, I am not allowed to enroll myself in this course. And the reason why this is because we are not going to be bothering with level 3 yet. So ignore this course for the time being and only concentrate on level 1, level 2, and social entrepreneurship. So if I go to 3D level 2, you will see that I have access to the course. Now, another way to see in which courses I am enrolled in and which I'm not is, if you notice here, we have 2 tabs, courses, which shows all the available courses, and my courses, which shows only the courses that I am enrolled in. So at the moment, I'm enrolled in these 2 courses. If I want to enroll for 3D level 1, all I have to do is click on the course and then click on this button here, which says enroll me, and I'm in. So back to the available courses. As I said before, all the whole e-learning platform is available in all 5 consortium languages, which are basically 4 because I also include English. So if I hit on Spanish, you will see that all the information is given in Spanish, except of course for the title, which is in English. If I hit on Italian, our Italian friends can see everything in Italian. The same goes for the Dutch. And of course, my Greek fellows, the same applies for Greek. So back to English, since this is a European Info Day and where the common language is English. So let's visit one of the courses. I will go to 3D level 2, for instance, and I will visit chapter 2-3. Before I do that, this is how one course looks like. So here you have some general information that this 3D level 2 is divided into 3 chapters, as Valadis mentioned in his presentation. Here we have the communication area, which has the chat, the announcements, which is the forum, and also a glossary of terms, which still needs to be populated. And then here we have the 3 chapters that make up this level 2 course. Now I will visit chapter 2-3, and here you can see all the material that is within this chapter 2-3. And what do we have here? We have the 2 activity worksheets that have been developed in the framework of chapter 2-3, the 3 worksheets, as well as 2 extra files, the STL file that students need, and also an image of the 3D2ACT logo, which is also needed for one of these worksheets. Now, yes, for the first one in particular, as Valadis points out. Now, if I hit on Spanish, you will see that you will get everything in Spanish, and so on and so forth for the other languages too. Now, let's go to activity worksheet 2.3.1. This opens the worksheet, gives a few basic information about it, and then by clicking on read, we have a look at the worksheet that Marius from Crete has developed, which is the phone stand that we also before in his presentation. So you can, by clicking on next, you can see all the material. And if you have a problem focusing on the material because there is a lot of menus and stuff like that, you can always hit on this button here, which is full screen. And this, it provides a more distraction-free view of all the material. So this is basically what the student can see. From here, from the breadcrumb, as it's called, you can go back to the initial course page or to the specific chapter 2-3 page if you want to navigate yourself easily in this area. So this is what the student sees. So the student sees the worksheets, and in some cases, some extra files that are needed. In this case, the STL and the PNG file. Now, if I go to 2.1, for instance, all they can see is the activity worksheets. And that's pretty much it. Now, I will go back to the available courses, and I will go to the social entrepreneurship course, where here we have the 3 modules. And for each module, for module 2, for instance, apart from the material, we also have some assessment activities. We have some assessment activities before each chapter, so that the students can assess their knowledge before taking the course, and some post-assessment activities. Now, as you can see, there is an indicator at the bottom that says to do, that they have to complete this activity. And this activity is directly related to the open badges that we're going to give them. Now, if you remember in my initial presentation, we said that regarding the 3D material, the badges will be given manually by the teachers. but the open badge for the social entrepreneurship aspect will be given automatically. And in order for the students to receive these badges, they have to complete each of these post-assessment activities and receive at least 50%, a 50% grade at the end. So back to the courses. Let me see if I have anything else I would like to say here. No. Now it is time to see what the teachers see. Is there a difference, or do the teachers see exactly the same thing as the students? So just give me 1 second to log out from the platform, and now I will log in with my teacher credentials. So I'm logging in, and as you can see at the top right corner, I have logged in as a 3D2ACT teacher this time. Again, I'm in the courses page, where we can see that I have already registered, enrolled rather is the correct word, in 2 of the courses, but I haven't enrolled in the social entrepreneurship course yet. So this icon, I repeat, indicates that this course is in self-enrollment mode, so you don't need permission from a teacher. The course is free for you to enroll by yourself. And I would like to invite you all, either now or later, to visit this page and enroll in the courses. And once you enroll, tomorrow, my colleagues and I will give you the role of the teacher. Now let's see why we should give you the role of the teacher. What difference does it make in this platform, whether you're a teacher or a student? I will let you know at once. So I'm visiting 3D level 2, the 3D level 2 course once again, and let's go back to chapter 2.3. Now, if you remember before, we only saw a few tiles in the student version. Here we see much more. Why is this? Because the teacher can see more things. Apart from the worksheet that is addressed to the students, as you can see here, it is restricted in a language based. We also have 2 tiles here, which are the following. The first one is the activity worksheet, but the teacher version, if you remember, my colleagues, I think Marius especially, and Nicolas showed you that there are some texts and some images that are addressed only for the teacher's eyes. There are some tips and some helpful tips that give you that provide some help as to how to solve a particular problem, or how to present the material to your students. So this is why we need to make you all 3D2ACT teachers, so that you have access to the teacher version, and I will show you in a moment how this is indicated. So apart from the 2 worksheets, the teacher version and the student version, we also have the lesson plans. So here you can see very quickly a PDF version of the lesson plan for 2.3.1, as my colleague showed you before. So here you get the general overview of the course before you move to the actual material itself, which is in the worksheets. Of course, the teacher can also have access to the extra files as well as some other STL files for which the students don't have access. So you have a full view of all the available material here, that not all is addressed to students. I hope this is clear. So let's have a look at the teacher version for the activity worksheet 2.3.1. Again, we get the same screen here. And if I open it and I go to full view, here I don't see anything. It's the same as the student version. But here we see that some of the images have a green frame. This means that these images are only addressed to you guys, to the teachers. Also, if you find any text with a green font, that is also addressed to you. This green text is not included in the student version and is only for your eyes. Whenever you see simple text and a simple image, that means that the students can see exactly the same thing. Here's another text that is not addressed to students, but only addressed to you. So I'm exiting the distraction-free mode, and I will go back to the available courses section. One last thing that I would like to share with you before I give the floor to my colleague Vasya to discuss the mobile app is how to award the so-called open badges to your students. So once again, regarding the social entrepreneurship aspect, you don't have to do anything. It's an automated process, and you only have to tell your students that they have to take the post-assessment activities, and if they score 50% or over in each one of them, they will automatically receive the open badge. On the other hand, regarding the 3D material and these three courses, and in particular, the first two, since these are the ones that we are going to be working with during the pilots. This is, and because the material is more hands-on and more experiential in the classroom, following the worksheets and actually creating a model and printing it, it is really up to you. So, dear teachers, please take into account the performance of the students in the class. See how interested they are, if they are successful in what they are doing. If they're not, of course, please help them. We don't want to make anyone feel badly about themselves. Also try to cultivate their soft skills. It's very important that they learn how to work together, that they show initiative, that they show some spirit and some enthusiasm about this. And at the end, it's up to you, of course, to decide whether they are eligible to earn this open badge or not. Now, suppose that you have decided that you do want to offer them this open badge. I will now show you how to do this. So for each course, for each level, as I said in my initial presentation, we have three badges, one for each chapter. So how to access this? Once you enter the course, like I did just now, please go to this area here with this toggle and click on it. And of course, don't click on unenroll, but rather click on more. This will take you to this screen here, where you can see the Manage Badges link. Click on that, and this will bring you to the Open Badges page. As you can see, we have the three badges, one for each chapter, but for now, and for the sake of this presentation, I have only activated the first one. And how you can see this by this icon here, this cap, and it says award badge. So if I click on that, remember I am a 3D2ACT teacher now, and I only can do that. Students cannot do that, obviously. I have to choose my role again here. And what do I see here? I see the potential badge recipients. So I choose to award this badge to the 3D2ACT student. This is my account for the student. I already see that some of you have already registered and enrolled in this course, and I'm very happy to see that. Please, the rest of you, either now or later on at your own time, feel free and please do so, because let's face it, we also have to show some numbers to the national agency and to the European Commission that this platform was actually used, and your help is more than welcome and needed for the success of this project. So I choose the 3D2ACT student, and all I have to do after I choose him is to click on this button here, award badge, and the 3D2ACT student leaves this list and enters this list. So now the 3D2ACT student has been awarded the badge entitled level 2.1. So for chapter 2.1, this is the badge that has been given. Okay, now I'm gonna exit as a 3D2ACT student, and I will re-enter, I will re-log in the platform with my student credentials. Okay, and because I don't like this screen, the dashboard, I prefer this one with available courses. Now, there's a lot of you I'm not going to ask, and I'm not going to expect an answer, but I'm going to ask myself, what different thing do I see here than that I couldn't see before? Valadis is laughing next to me. The thing that I see that I couldn't see before is that here, beside this bell, I see that I have the number 1 up here. That means that I've got a message. So if I click on that, I can congratulate myself on earning a badge. And by clicking on this, I see that I have been awarded the badge level 2.1 badge. If I also visit my profile here under my name, if I click on profile, you will see that I've already received the level 2.1 badge. This is another icon from another badge when we were testing the platform. Ignore this. So focus on this. This is the image that I have. This is the confirmation, actually, that I have received, have been awarded, or as they say in the glossary of the Open Badges ecosystem, I have earned a badge for this particular chapter. So this is the way to award badges. I could repeat it, but since this video from today's proceedings is going to be available on our YouTube channel, and our my dear partners from all over Europe will share it with you. So I don't want to tire you any longer. I've been going on for like half an hour now. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor to my colleague Vasya, who will present the mobile app version of this platform. Of course, before I do so, I might as well say that this platform it works on mobile devices too. So feel free to use it there as well. But if it's in your liking to use mobile apps, and if you prefer that, there is also a mobile app available that Vasya will show you. Thank you for your attention. And Vasya, the floor is yours. I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Yanis. I would like to welcome you all as well in this info day. Let me share my screen so that you can see. Okay, I think now it's on.
Yes, Vasya.
Okay, so let me go to the e-platform through the browser, where you can easily find the link for the application of 3D2ACT, the Android application. So let's click on Get It on Google Play button, and it directs us to the Play Store easily. But of course, you can access the Play Store directly and just type 3D2ACT. And I think the first result that comes up is our app. So now I have installed it already. So I will just click the Open button. take some time. So in the login screen, we can connect with our credentials that we have already acquired before. So let me connect with a test account for a teacher, so that you can see what you will be able to see as teachers. So here we are in the dashboard screen, and we can see the courses we are already enrolled in. So let's access the site home link on the left, the site home tab, so that we can access our available courses easily. Here you can see all the levels of 3D printing and social entrepreneurship. Let's just access level 2 again, for example. Here we can see the courses description as in the e-platform, and all the available activities like the chat, the announcements forum, and the glossary. And below that, we can see all the available material. And as you can see, because we are logged in as teachers, now we see also the hidden from students material, like the lesson plans and some solutions. So let me just access one activity worksheet, for example, 2.1.1. Here you can see that the experience is the same as in the e-platform. So let me just click the read button. You can see all the material in a clear format. And by pressing at the top left corner the sandwich menu, you can easily access all the sub-chapters and access all the sub-chapters. So let me just show you some preferences you can also change through the app. If you press the sandwich menu at the top right corner, and then you access the app settings and the general settings, you can see here that you can change the language or the text size or the color scheme of the application. Just to tell you that by changing the language here, you just change the layout language, and you will not be able to see the courses in the other languages. In order to do that, I will show you in a minute how you can change your preferred language through your profile preferences of the e-platform. So let's just go back. Here we are again in the sandwich menu, and you can see here that you can easily log out through the logout button. And if you open again the application another time, you can log in with another account as well. So you can have a teacher account and maybe a student account just to see how students see all the material. So here, if you want, you can just press the plus button at the top, at the bottom right corner, and you can log in as another available account. So let me just stop sharing so that I can show you how to change your preferred language through the e-platform.
This is very important if you want to experience the mobile app in your own languages. So this is pretty important. So please pay attention to this if you're going to be using the mobile app. By the way, we would like to ask you to download it and perhaps rate it as well. Let's not forget that we need those numbers to get high. So sorry about that, but I'm afraid it is a necessity, and we will be very grateful if you did that. Thank you. Vasya.
Okay, so I'm logged in as a teacher example again on the e-platform, and just by clicking on your profile name, here is teacher example, we can access the preferences where we can find in the submenu user account the preferred, the preferred language button. So it's very easy from here to change your preferred language in all 5 options. And if I change here the preferred language, then on the mobile app, I am able to see the courses in this language. So that was all for me. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask us.
Thank you, Vasya. Before I give the floor to Marios for the last presentation for today regarding the augmented reality game, let me just say that regarding the platform, as I said, whenever you register and you enroll in each one of the courses, the default role you get is the role of the student. So at the moment, all you can see is the student-related material. But after this meeting, and probably tomorrow, to be honest, the names from today's meeting will all be given. You will all be given the role of the teacher in order to be able to see all the material. Whenever you take this project to your schools, and whenever you ask your students to register on the platform and enroll in the courses, you can be sure that whenever they register, whenever they enroll, excuse me, they will have the role of the student, so you don't have to do anything about that. No worries. The only thing you have to do is to show them around, and at the end of the course to award them the open badges as I showed earlier on. So unless there are any questions regarding the platform and the mobile app, no. I will give the floor to Marios to conclude today's proceedings with a short presentation of the augmented reality learning game that the University of Crete, the team there, have kindly developed for the needs of the project. Marios.
So, okay, just a minute to share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see the presentation or?
Yes, Marios, we can.
Okay, because I'm seeing something different. Just a minute.
Take your time, Marios.
Okay, so you're seeing my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I will show you a few things about the augmented reality learning game that we have developed. So basically, this is a quiz game about entrepreneurship. So the idea here is that game-based learning can be effective learning tool for attracting students' attention and for illustrating complex processes and scenarios in a more visual and a more playful way. So we have developed this augmented reality learning game that can support vet trainers in reaching their educational objectives. So basically the acquisition of social entrepreneurship skills and setting up a social enterprise. So it's related to the material that you saw earlier. So using this mobile application is more engaging, and of course it can be available from everywhere. So you can use it before, during, or after school. So it has the potential to be a more personalized approach and in a self-regulated way. So the learning is the acquisition of knowledge or skills through the experience or practice. And in this way, what a better way to learn things than through games. And this is especially focused on vet students. And based on the previous shown educational social entrepreneurship pack and the roadmap with the 10 steps, we have designed this mobile app as a quiz game, so a multiple choice quiz game. So players can improve their skills as the game progresses. And of course, if they get something wrong, they have the chance to get some feedback and of course try again. So again, the Android app has a multilingual interface, so you can use it in different languages. Along with the AR game, we also need to print this game board. This is just an example. The final one will be ready in a few days. So just to get an idea how this game board looks, it has some QR codes inside, which is one part of the game. I will explain later on. So the augmented reality element types that we choose to use to provide different answers, it's mostly marker based. So there are actually five different ways of giving your answer. So of course, the first one is by touching the screen. The other four ways is one by scanning a QR code, which is embedded in a game board. The second one is by using your camera phone and basically scan a color. So every color, basically 3 colors correspond to the three different answers. I will show in more detail later. The other way is by shaking your phone, so moving your phone. And of course, the last one is by speech to text. So you actually speaking to your phone and selecting the option that you want to, the answer that you want to give. And of course, there is an option of editing your text by hand if something went wrong with recognition of your speech. So the initial page looks something like this. So it's a project summary. If you start the game, you have, if you remember, we have a 10-step process. So for every step, for every section, we get an introduction, the 10-step roadmap, I mean. And then you are giving your answers. This answer is basically the simplest one. So you're just selecting from these multiple choices A, B, or C by touching your screen. If you get a wrong answer, you can see here that this is indicated and you get this kind of feedback of the wrong answer. And this hint appears in the middle, showing you more like guiding you to the correct answer. So you get another chance to answer again, a second attempt to get it right. So this is the simplest way to answer. The second way is by shaking your phone. So basically selecting A, B, or C by shaking your phone once or twice or 3 times. So it's like scrolling down the answers. Again, at the end, we have to click on the answer that was selected by shaking the phone. The other way is by scanning a QR code from the game board. So if you see this mark here, it means you press this button, so the camera opens up and you must select the corresponding QR code to the answer you want to give. Okay, for practical reasons, I cannot really show you how to use this. It's difficult to show the font during this process. That's why I made it in a presentation. The last way is basically asking the students to speak, to provide the answer verbally. So we are using speech to text. So you are giving the answer by reading it. So the answers are available. You press the button of the microphone and you just speak the answer to your, according to your language, of course. This, after you are done answering, there is the chance, the option to modify by hand your answer. Maybe the speech to text software didn't get it right, so there is a chance to modify and write down and change your answer using the letters you want. So after you are done changing the answer, if it's necessary, you just hit submit. Okay, so this is more or less to verify your answer if it was recognized correctly automatically. The last option is to basically ask the user to scan the different color that represents the correct answer. For example, if you want to select A, so you have to click on the camera button and find an object near you and scan the specific color. So you have to scan something blue or something red. So this color here represents the color that you need to scan. So this is the 5 different ways that you can that you can use to answer the quiz questions related to entrepreneurship. At the end of the game, you get this total score. So the scoring metrics here are 2 points for the correct answer if you get it from after the first attempt, 1 point after the second attempt, and 0 points otherwise if you get it wrong. Here we have just to note that the order of the questions per section change. It's randomized every time you restart or reopen the game. So there is a lower chance of cheating, let's say, if you do close and open the application again. So the order is different and the questions and the answers are different. So the final version of this app will be ready in a few days. We're waiting also for the translations in different languages. So you will get it from the website in a similar way from the Android, from the Google App Store, or a similar way that it's done for the e-learning platform. So yeah, that's it for me. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Marios. A very interesting and fun way to learn the social entrepreneurship material to get combined with other material that Sheila sent us. We have a question from Nikos. Nikos?
No, it's not a question. Just to add, hello everyone, first of all, that
Hello.
we are in the process of completing a user guide related to the augmented reality game that will be used by teachers and students in order to be acquainted with the idea and the way they could possibly choose answers regarding the questions that are posed through this game. So we'll be ready, let's say, in the next few weeks to accompany the game.
Great, thank you. Any other questions regarding the AR game or anything else, since we do have a few more minutes before we close the session? No. It's been a long afternoon. I know we're all pretty tired. A lot of information to gather and take in more correctly. Of course, this by no means was a training session. It was an informative session just to present to you guys the work that has been done and the products that have been produced in the framework of this project over the past 2 years almost that this project has been running. So since there are no questions, I would just like to say as a closing remark that feel free to go through it, the materials. You can either access the material through the website, especially the 3D aspect, which is ready in all languages, both on the website and the e-learning platform. So if you want to read the Dutch, the Italian, and Spanish versions, feel free. It's all there. We are still working on the social entrepreneurship aspect. We are uploading everything these past few days, and we're continuing to do this so that we are all ready by the beginning of November, so that you can slowly start implementing the project in your schools. So once again, questions? None. Sorry for asking all the time, but just to make sure. Margenti is smiling. So thank you all very much. I would like to thank particularly the partners that are working on this project for a very fruitful collaboration and for embracing the idea to hold this European info day instead of just local info days, and especially to accommodate partners who are not familiar with 3D or with social entrepreneurship, so that the teachers can hear the information firsthand from the people that worked on the materials and produced them. So thank you for embracing this activity and for inviting your teachers and for having so many people today. Secondly, I would like to thank all of you teachers for accepting that invitation and for joining us today. As I said, your participation and your support is of paramount importance for the success of this project. And if you allow me, a special thank you to our local teachers, and some of which we collaborate with very closely, not only in this project, but in various other activities of our laboratory here at Demokritos. So I hope we didn't tire you. I hope you gained something from today's proceedings. And as I said in the beginning, we are here to assist you if you have any questions or if you need any help with any of the material. Just contact your one of the partners, and the partners can let us know what the question is, and we will gladly get back to you. So without further ado, I would like to wish you a lovely evening. Have a good night, good evening's rest, enjoy, and all the best. And I hope to see you perhaps in Cyprus in the international training activity in February, some of you, along with your students. Take care, everyone. I'm stopping. All the best. Thank you.
Now, warmest wishes to Dimitra and everyone.
Thank you. See you.
Warmest wishes to Dimitris, Dimitra, and everyone whose name day is today. Take care.
Thank you, Yannis.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Dimitra, χρόνια πολλά.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ.